Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card that we will be making. I'm using Nature's Sweetness Sweet Collection and the Filled with Fun bundle that came out last week. And I said I was going to use that a couple weeks ago with a I just used the wagon because one thing led to another, and that's just how my brain works. So that is, I think, my sample card because the one that we are making is going to be built up much more. And like I said, I'm using the entire suite collection with the papers and the die cuts and everything. And there is a stamp set right there, cutest thing ever. There's banners and great line art in the wagon wheel. You have a handle, balloon handle, great sentiments, and this die cuts are phenomenal. There's a lot of standalone die cuts in there that you can see that coordinate beautifully with that wagon because you can either stamp it or die cut the entire thing out. And in this instance, I went ahead and die cut it out. So we are using the Time Worn Type embossing folder, and I'm just going to use that to emboss the front of the wagon. Notes of Nature, lovely and sweet stamp sets. They are part of the Nature Sweetness Sweet Collection. That's a mouthful. And I love the vintage vibes in the Notes of Nature. And then you have like kind of officey things there a little bit with a notebook edge on the right side. And we are going to be using all of the dies that I am pointing to build up, but we're not using those. I changed my mind. To build up everything in our wagon, that is Countryside Corners. And we're going to be using the sentiment, or that panel up next to it'll all be described below in the link that goes directly to this blog post at cindybdesigns.com. So I'm taking you through the Nature Sweetness Sweet Collection real quick. That is going to carry over to the 24-25 annual catalog, by the way, so I thought you'd be happy to hear that because, I mean, everybody loves this. It's sold out constantly. Great paper. I like the office vibe of it, the very vintage vibe of it. And those are cork, which goes really great with just everything along here. Then you have some leather trim with gold. The dies will cut out the designer series paper, as you can see, and I will show you how to color that later on in this video. And so I went ahead because you saw how stacked that wagon was, and I pre-die cut everything. Now on the back of the gold glimmer paper and the gold foil, I did put adhesive sheets onto the back of that, and you have to crank it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine a few times because it makes it really thick. Because the back on the thick of that cardstock is, well, thick anyway, then you're adding adhesive to it, so you got to do that. So for the wagon, I cut two, I'm going to call it like the Town and Country, side panel in the early 90s, that went down the side of the minivans there. I cut two of them because they're super, super thin, and I wanted it to be really solid. Same with the wagon, just to build it up. Cut two wheels and the little insides with them, and we are using festive pearls. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and crease our cardstock there, which is Pebbled Path, because we're just using Pebbled Path and Pecan Pie today, and I'll have a supply list for you and everything like that. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to take some tone on tone ink, Pebbled Path ink, and like this vintage postage image from Nature Sweetness. Get that taped down where the crease is, and then just stamp it around the outside there because I wanted some kind of texture to it a little bit because I do have a 1/4 inch margin all the way around rather than just leave it blank. And I went back and forth and I didn't pay attention to what side it came in or anything like that. I just wanted some good coverage there. And this is kind of a quirky card anyway to begin with, so it kind of fit in perfect. So I'm not stamping off or anything like that. I'm just randomly popping it all on. And trying to figure out that last one there. And so far, that is what we are looking like. I'm going to pull everything off. And like I said earlier, I will have the measurements, everything for you over on the blog. So, because I know I'm going fast here. So I brought in a piece of pecan pie cardstock and the DSP from the suite, putting a little bit of seal on the back of that. And I'm just going to go ahead and get that laid down. Now, I think I have a card that I'm going to show you at the end of this that I made with the Filled with Fun. Because that's what I said what I was going to do, but I do have a super cute wagon to show you. And because you can construct this to kind of be like a standalone item, which is really cool. So I'm putting adhesive on the back of the pecan pie part of the wagon there, getting that all together. And I know when I layer up cards like this, I use a variety of adhesives, believe it or not, because you know what each one can do. And with liquid adhesive, like I said, it looks like I'm putting a ton on there. I'm really not, because you don't want to get it too stiff or crusty on you to where your cards won't stand up the right way if it gets too weighty. So I'm putting all that together. And then eventually adhere that to the top of the wagon. But in the meantime, I'm going to set that up to dry. And I always do that with a block. And I'm going to put liquid adhesive on the centers of our little tires there. And then I think towards the end of this, I'll go ahead and embellish them with the gold, Festive Pearls gold dots. So while I'm getting all this adhered down, the wagon is from the Filled with Fun bundle that just came out a couple weeks ago. And like I said, I just decided out of the blue to really take this out of the box. I just had stuff sitting on my desk and one thing led to the other. But this is such a cute, fun set. It goes with anything and everything. It's really classic in that you can mix it and match it. Something like that little wagon. I don't know what I'm doing there because I talk with my hands. Would be super fun to put surfboards in, whatever you want to put in there. Make it beachy, carry pumpkins, anything like that. So I'm going to heat emboss my sentiment with gold, and that is from the Nature Sweetness, and that's a cling mount stamp. And I treated it with my embossing buddy, which just pulls off all the oil and everything like that off of the cardstock. And I'm going to ink that up with Versamark, put that down a few times because I want to be able to see the ink. Because if I can't see the ink, I'm not going to get really good powder coverage over it. And now I can see the ink. And I'm going to heat emboss that in gold powder. Make sure you're going to tap off the excess there. And if you have the little strays, I always grab like an angled toothbrush to kind of sweep them off. And our heat tool has two settings. The first one is to like dry stays on ink or memento or something like that before you color. And then the second setting is to heat emboss. And when it gets all shiny like that, you know that you're done. You always want to keep that heat tool moving too. So what do you do to get all that powder that you see off? Super circular motions lightly. It looks like I'm doing a heavy job there, but I'm really not. And that'll get all that powder off. And now I'm going to die cut that out of Countryside Corners from the, second smallest die. Get that, center the way I want it to. Put some very, very low tack tape on it, and then go ahead and run that through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And that is what we are looking like. So moving on here, those are just some of the images that you can cut out using the dies in the Suite collection. And on the inside of the card, I have one that's kind of like partially cut because I don't waste anything, like what you see on the right-hand side there. So what I did, I just take that and then butt it up against the edge of anything I want to pop it on, and nothing goes to waste. And that's how I like to do things. And it just works out because you hate getting rid of a large piece like that when you can put it to good use. So for coloring it, I'm doing some really messy coloring here with Old Olive Stampin' Blends, just to kind of show you how easy it is that you can color a designer series paper, whether it's a solid image or not, like our Halloween paper a couple years ago, where I think they had the Halloween candy that was white, and a lot of us took our Stampin' Right markers to kind of make it a pull apart Halloween candy there, with the different Halloween colors of purple and yellow and orange. So that's how easy it is to go ahead and color that. Like I said, very ugly, sloppy job. It does dry in the long run and turn out really nice. So, like I said, with everything we're going to put into the wagon, all the gold that you see there, including the wagon handle, there is our adhesive sheets on the back of that. So I'm lining everything up now and making my pencil marks where I want to adhere the wagon, because that way it kind of gives me an idea, okay, where to place the sentiment. If I have to cut the stems off of what I'm putting inside to the wagon, and I'm trying to say put it inside rather than say stuff it inside the wagon, because that's what I would normally say. So if I go off, script there, apologies. So I'm getting all that adhered because I am going to adhere the wagon to our card there with Stampin' Dimensionals. And you want to be careful where you place them. I wanted to have the wagon accent just like a little bit above the wagon itself. And I'm placing them more towards the middle and at the bottom, because that way it'll give me some wiggle room to go ahead and put the stems in there. As far as I went to, if I have to cut them off, because I'm going to put them in like in a stadium style, basically. So I'm getting our wagon adhered down there. And I already put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of our tires. And I'm just going to pop them up a little bit below the wheel well there that you see on the wagon. And you can see the dimension that we have going on there as well. So I'm getting that last little wagon wheel popped on there. And I'm going to peel off the backing of our handle for the wagon and pause real quick because there might be a fox in my yard or the wind blew or something, because my dog is going nuts. So I will see you back in a few minutes. So right now I'm peeling off the back of our first set of greenery, in this case goldery. Is that even a word? That's going to go down and adhered with the adhesive sheets on the back. Now, what you're going to see me do is like alternate layers here, because I have the sticky on, like I said, everything gold. Then I'm going to lay down a layer of clear vellum, just our regular vellum paper. And then I have some gold distressed vellum on top of that. And how I'm going to lay down the vellum is put like little teeny tiny dots on the back of the leaves where it's going to be tucked in, and maybe a little bit above, because I know I'm going to cover that up as well. So we have our gold foil there. Then we have our just basic clear vellum, the gold vellum on top of it. Then I'm going to put the gold glimmer paper on top of it, which is also another online exclusive, like the wagon is there. And then decide, hey, this it looks a little bit too gold. And then I add one more layer of vellum at the very top. So, I mean, you're going to see pictures of it and everything like that over on the blog and when this is all done with. But something like this wagon, which is also an online exclusive item, by the way, it seems like it could be very childish or whatever. But if you pull in other sweet collections like this one, which is more kind of, I want to call it on the vintage glam side, and then put it with something fun like this, because you can, glam up the wagon as well. And I think this is a good mix here in what you can do by really taking your work out of the box and just having fun and seeing where it goes. Because this was completely unplanned. I had a little boy's birthday card planned for you, to be honest with you. And that's what part of the wagon is about that you're going to see coming up. So this is where I'm popping in the vellum just to go ahead and keep the gold vellum. And you see me adding on the dots there. and then the block to let that adhere while I'm putting the adhesive on the next piece. And I do work with the tweezers a lot when I put the adhesive on, and then for some reason use my fingers to get it all down in there. So now I have it all adhered, and remember, this not all of it, because I'm getting onto the glimmer part now, which will also help hold down the vellum because I do have 2 layers on that. So we're kind of sort of maybe getting into the home stretch here a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get this super sped up fast for you, and we'll get finished up here. So I decided to cut out 3 minutes basically of adhering everything on top of everything. And right now I'm just putting down the last vellum flower or greenery that you can see. And you can rewind maybe 30 seconds ago and just see how much of a difference that makes adding that last layer of vellum to the front. So I'm taking my pokey tool, lifting up, the ends a little bit just to give it some dimension. And this will still fit in an envelope with one stamp despite the great amount of dimension it has on there. So I'm popping on some more dimension, Stampin' Dimensionals on the back, and I'm using black ones for this because all the cardstock is dark and I don't want the white basically showing through because I'm a little bit fussy like that. So I'm bringing back in our card base, and I'm just going to get that secured with some very, very low tack tape on the glass mat there. Get it all lined up nice and even and everything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere our image panel to the card base there. And I kind of think this can go either way, maybe masculine or feminine, by changing the colors, because there's a little bit of bling and glam in there. So that is our card. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to make. So I do, oh yeah, and I forgot. The wheels look really, really naked, so I decided to grab a Stampin' Blend marker real quick and just scribble in a faux road underneath that. And that is what we are looking like. And that is the wagon that I made for the birthday card. And that's the cutest thing ever. You can put candy in it, anything you want. The stamps in the stamp set, you can color them and attach it to the sides and then fill it with candy, potpourri, anything that you want. Different colors of the wagon. You can even use the wooden panels on other projects as a faux fence, anything you want. So that is what we are looking like, our final project. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit like and subscribe, and be sure to leave me a comment, and I will see you again next week. Have a great week.